Yeah, hey there, Glenn. We are outside John Wayne Airport. This is where that plane was headed, coming from New York yesterday when it had to be diverted to Denver, allegedly because of this man. Let's show you some video. This man was arrested in Denver. He was a passenger on the plane who allegedly attacked one of the crew members. Here is what some passengers say they were told by other crew members about what happened.
This guy was in either business class or first class. Halfway through the flight, all of the lights came on and the captain asked for two able-bodied men to come to the front, which automatically is like alarming. And he let us know we were going to be making an emergency landing in Denver. Based off what the flight attendant said, she said that the flight attendant was punched in the face twice and her nose was broken, so she needed to get off and go to a hospital, and the police needed to get on and arrest the man.
I am a regional flight attendant.
Not
Regional. I don't fly international. Well, technically I do, but primarily in the United States, I fly up and down the East Coast. I fly a little bit to the West, like to, on Central Time, like Chicago.
In a statement, American Airlines said, "We are outraged by the reports of what took place on board. Acts of violence against our team members will not be tolerated. This behavior must stop, and aggressive enforcement and prosecution of the law is the best deterrent." Now, as for the name of that man and all the circumstances leading up to his arrest, we still don't have a lot of those details. For now, reporting live outside John Wayne Airport, I'm Chip Yost, KTLA 5.
Call after a passenger with 2 box cutters was able to board a Frontier Airlines flight. The flight was diverted and the passenger was detained. CBS's Chris Van Cleve reports the incident has an unfortunate echoes of 9/11.
I don't fly international. Well, technically I do, but primarily in the United States, I fly up and down the East Coast. I fly a little bit to the West, like to, on Central Time, like Chicago, maybe St. Louis and places like that. But primarily up and down the East Coast. We do a little bit of Canadian flying, such as
Train the man until landing.
I was kind of angry at the time, so I really was wanting to do something physically to the person.
Tonight, the TSA is briefing all screeners nationwide about what went wrong, and the officers who dealt with the suspect at the Cincinnati airport will be retrained. The TSA says while the bags were scanned, the image review capabilities were not fully used. One of the man's 2 box cutters was discovered during a secondary search, but it was returned after its blade was removed, which is against procedure, according to the agency.
As Toronto and Montreal, we used to go to Ottawa. I miss Ottawa, but no more. And I don't do continental international flying overseas or anything like that. And if it's domestic flying, that's primarily the East Coast, with a little bit to the Midwest. So I will be talking about aviation from that point of view, from a crew member point of view, and also as an advocate for passengers' rights. Because even though I'm a flight attendant and people do annoy me at times, I'm still an advocate for American citizens that are passengers on major airlines and regionals. So let's get it started. So, what I'm going to talk about now, and this is the year 2022, it really has nothing to do with the pandemonium.
John Pistol is a former TSA administrator.
Once a box cutter was discovered, it should have been a much more thorough screening.
Incidents involving disruptive passengers are down 80% in 2022 after soaring during the pandemic. But so far, there have been nearly 2,200 this year alone, including this one early Sunday, where a passenger holding a toddler allegedly choked a flight attendant and refused to sit down during landing.
That flight attendant is expected to be okay. Now, after the 9/11 hijackers were able to gain control of 4 airliners with box cutters, cockpit doors were reinforced. And security experts we talked to today said it doesn't appear that either of these incidents would have posed a viable threat to control of the airplanes or to the pilots. Nora?
Chris Van Cleve with those airport scares. Thank you.
or inflation or recession or any of those things. This is going to be more about passengers and what they're wearing to the airports, customers. I think people forget that.
Here to Tampa over the weekend, authorities took a man into custody after he reportedly made threats with a box cutter. Good evening, everyone. Welcome here to ABC Action News at 5. I'm Paul Legrone, in for Jameson on assignment.
And I'm Wendy Ryan. Thank you for joining us. We now know TSA agents knew of at least one of the box cutters as he went through security, but gave it back before he boarded the flight. Our Vanessa Ariza breaks down the new information we're learning from Tampa International Airport.
Hair bonnets, people. And I will say this was years ago, but I have seen a woman get dropped off at the airport in hair rollers and a scarf.
This was the aftermath of Frontier Flight 1761 Friday evening.
Oh, babe, there he is.
The destination set for Tampa from Cincinnati, but diverted to Atlanta after this man was reported having a box cutter and making threats. After landing at Hartsfield International Airport, he was escorted off the plane in handcuffs and taken into federal custody. Lillian Hoffman was sitting next to him on that flight.
And I looked down, and he had a box knife about this long with the actual blade still in it. And I was like, what? How in the world did this get on the plane?
From the start, Hoffman says the man seemed disgruntled when he boarded, often shifting in his seat and fidgeting.
So he has to get up and go to the bathroom again. I let him up, and the guy next to me on the window seat looks at me and is like, I don't know what we need to do. He has a knife. He's been telling me that he wants to stab people.
What people are asking in the days after, how was this able to happen in the first place? A representative with TSA says the man went through security at Cincinnati Northern Kentucky International Airport around 5:30 Friday afternoon with a temporary Ohio driver's license. He placed 2 backpacks on the belt to go through screening. They went through, but the blade was not detected. TSA calling it a human error. It just so happened the man's bags were tagged for a further search. That is where they found 1 box knife. They removed the blades, kept them, and gave the device back, but missed the second box knife.
The fact that it managed to get through like it did is terrifying.
It's thanks to Hoffman alerting
thousands of people. Anybody you can meet at the airport, at an international airport. You can meet the love of your life. You can meet your new employer that pays you more money and treats you better. You could meet a new great best friend, make connections and have colleagues, whatever. And you're walking around looking like, oh my God, like you just rolled out of bed. I would never, ever, ever wear a goddamn house robe to an airport. Jesus, put on a jean and t-shirt and some sneakers. I mean, yeah, it's bummy, but I'd rather you do that than wear a goddamn robe to the airport. And the hair bonnet, that is crazy. I just cannot. Let me tell you. This was in Philadelphia International. I've seen a family of 5. So it was the mom. It was a dad, the son.
Employees from Delta have been busted for allegedly smuggling drugs. Authorities arrested the 2 suspects at airport on a flight from Brazil.
And now we're learning a little bit more about what they were busted with. Local 10's Christina Vasquez is live with this one and only exclusive for us. Christina.
And you have that exactly right. New tonight, we are learning more about the charges one of the defendants is now facing.
The drugs were being smuggled in from outside the country. And
Marcelo Chavez in bond court.
What kind of work do you do?
He's a flight attendant.
I'm a flight attendant.
And this flight attendant from New York's legal woes started here. At Miami International Airport Tuesday, where according to his arrest form, he was getting off an American Airlines flight from Brazil with his live-in boyfriend and now listed as co-defendant Ronald Maldonado when a Customs and Border Patrol officer conducted a random check and found the 2 off-duty Delta flight attendants were packing more than travel clothes.
The methamphetamine.
Marcelo, do not speak. Don't talk. I got it under control.
Take a look. Enough ketamine, methamphetamine,
1 kilogram to 5 kilograms.
And GBL, a GHB substitute,
which is another controlled substance. Plus or minus 45 grams. That's still a lot.
Discovered in 2 glass cosmetic bottles, a clear plastic bottle, and in their luggage for Chavez to now face felony charges of drug trafficking.
and stuff like that. They shouldn't be able to do that. That's debatable. I don't know. But this hair bonnet stuff has got to stop. And I know, Monique mentioned Walmart and all that. Walmart, I see all kinds of stuff, all kinds of racists doing all kinds of crazy crap. Wearing pajamas and stuff like that. And I've seen that nonsense too.